Oh,
Yeah.
you do the order rate and all that? Who do you order? Oh. So we are getting.
Call the regular city of White Lake Council meeting, Monday, February 2024, in order. Roll call, please.
Scott.
Here.
Beauregard. Here. Graham. Here. Kramer. Here. Zins.
Here. Could everybody please stand for the pledge of allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're moving on to the consent agenda. Has everybody had a chance to go over the consent agenda items? If so, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion is made by Councilor Kramer, is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Councilor Grants. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Yes, and citizens, anybody want to address council? Reports from staff, city administrator Lamb.
Well, I wanted to welcome the United Steelworkers Union to the city of White Lakes. They have moved into the First National Bank of Gilbert, White Lakes branch, and are currently settling into their new spot.
Anyone else?
Nope.
All right. Public Works, Kenny.
Since the last council meeting, just want to let you know, we had a fourth water main break on the 300 block of leads. Just want to thank Dave for stepping up and taking responsibility for them last meeting.
Jinx, yeah.
Yeah, we were blessed with 3 of them in a week. Other than that, they all went fine. Service was restored as normal. This week, we're assisting the Snowmobile Club, Ranger Snowmobile Club in their new building, with some, concrete removal and, fixing an inoperative floor drain and sewer line, so we're taking care of that as we speak as well. That's about it.
For Blight, everything's been going good for Blight. With lack of snow, we've been getting more, we've actually been getting written complaints, so it's nice to see, and I encourage that. So I have.
Okay, thank you. Mike, Kern?
Nothing separate on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to reports from elected officials, Councilor Kramer.
I have 2 things to report on. The first is the Chamber of Commerce 2023 donations. I think some people have probably seen this on Facebook or other areas, but they donated $7,800 to youth, $9,750 to tourism, $24,975 to school activities, $11,950 to scholarships, and $800 to other categories for a total of $55,275. So, we do a lot of great things for the community, and anybody who wants to join the chamber, please do so. It's the first Tuesday of every month at 6:30 at the DFW. And then, Mark Hurt, who is the youth activities coordinator, which is a joint venture with the city of Aurora, by Waback, White Lakes, County White, and the Saudi East Schools, gave his 2023 year update. So, activities that were offered were pre-K through sixth grade spring soccer, T-ball through Babe Ruth baseball, 8U through 18U softball, second through sixth grade flag football, second through sixth grade volleyball, second through sixth grade soccer, and K1 through third pony basketball, and boys and girls 4 through 6 basketball. There were 593 registrants in the year of 2023 across all of the different options that were provided. He listed all of the things that the communities collectively hosted. I would go through all of those, but if anybody wants me to make a copy of this, I will. And then also there were 9 lifeguards that were employed at the 3 beaches that were staffed Thursday through Monday over the summer. That's it.
Thank you. Counselor Graham,
Nothing to report today.
Counselor Borger,
Nothing to say, Mayor.
Counselor Scott,
Nothing to report.
keep on moving on. Full business, 10-1. Chapter 50, Public Works, General Provisions.
So at the last council meeting, you had a staff or a public presentation regarding chapter 50 and the changes that were requested. Outlined in your meeting packet is the reasoning as to why we have things set on the timelines we have them set. Wow, which includes things like, we like to keep the delinquent process within the same month, because then the billing amount doesn't change. We find that when people have another bill on top of it, there's a significant amount of confusion as to which amounts people should be paying to prevent shut off. And in addition, the requirements for that make it a little bit easier to ensure that, you know, everything's taking place in 1 month. And then the 10 a.m. deadline is set because we work into the afternoon. And so if we have a 10 a.m. deadline, then we can get the list completed and finalized for people who have not yet paid. We can get that list to public utilities, and then public utilities can begin working on the shutoffs prior to the end of the day. Especially with online payment, it makes it a little less clear that the end of the day is actually the end of the day. And so that's why we have it set at 10 a.m.
And just so everybody's aware, this isn't something that happens overnight. Usually these delinquent bills are 2-3 months long before they get a shut off notice. So it's not shouldn't be a big shock to the individuals when they get this shut off notice, because the bills haven't been paid. So we need a motion to,
No, but if you don't want to take any action, we can just move on, unless the counselors would like to discuss it.
anybody from the council discuss this? Or change, make any changes, or they happy with the way it is?
I wasn't at that meeting, but it seemed like one of the main complaints was the timeline on when they received the notice and questioning if they had enough notice to get on to the council agenda.
So the notice to get on the council agenda is if someone wishes to appeal their bill, and so that means that the charges in their bill were incorrect. Typically, if those charges are incorrect, we can identify that problem, we correct it in-house. You know, they bring it to the clerk's office, they say this was the wrong amount. Betsy investigates it and says, yes, it was, and she adjusts the bill, or no, that is the correct amount. At that point in time, then if they wish to appeal that amount to the city council, that's when they would submit that written request to appeal. But other than incorrect charges, there's not necessarily anything else that would come before the council as far as a written appeal goes. Typically, those bills go out on the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd of the month. They have 15 days from the date, or 15 days from the date of that notice to submit a written appeal. As long as I've been here, I haven't received a written appeal for their charges on bills for anyone. And so if they, even if it takes a week for them to get that bill, they still then have 8 days to get that written appeal to us. So there's, you know, and, the state indicates that they typically say that 3 days is processing time for first class mail. And that's typically what we do see as far as delivery here in town, so 3 days.
And they can still set up a payment plan with the, at City Hall.
Correct. Yep, that does not need further consent.
There was one other comment made that I questioned, the individuals claim to have a ding on their credit because of this. Is that something we report to credit agencies?
No, the city does not collect social security numbers. So the method we use for collecting past due utility bills is assessing people's property taxes, which is a much more efficient way of collecting past due than reporting people's credit. And so we do not report to any credit agencies for past due utility bills.
So whatever hit was done to that credit report wasn't from,
That's correct, it wasn't. from the
a
city.
program from the city.
Yeah.
And my question was on the 10 a.m. time, I could, wanted to talk about moving that to end of day, but this does explain why it is at 10 a.m. so you have time during the day to make the proper adjustments to their account or let public utilities know. So, that was my only question, and he's explained that to me, so I'm good with this as written as well.
Anybody else? All right, moving on. Ordinance number 244 with the updated fee schedule.
This fee schedule requests the changes to pickleball fees as previously discussed. It has been posted for the required length of time. So if it is approved tonight, it will be published in the Wasabi Tribune, which is our legal paper, and it'll go into effect retroactively after the 1st of February. No one has paid pickleball fees yet this year, so there's no reason.
All right, is there a motion to approve ordinance 10.2 with the updated fee schedule for 2024?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilor Borgard, is there support?
I'll support that.
Supported by Councilor Scott. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 11.1 sanitation, presentation by East Wasabi Sanitation. Jamie Gardner.
Alright,
Thank
so, thanks for, letting me speak this evening. I put together a packet or a presentation. It's kind of a hybrid presentation. It's, one that I have given to a number of the other townships, and by hybrid, there's a couple things to it. One, a lot of times our citizens have some questions or concerns about their costs and how that works with garbage, particularly the one that comes up often is paying for bags. So this was put together to kind of explain to citizens and other communities how that works. My second point here is our contract with the city. It's a 5-year contract, is up on the end of July. And so I would like to understand the process for determining whether or not we are going to be able to continue supporting White Lakes. Because from my perspective, I have equipment and things that I buy or don't buy, depending on how much stuff I have to do. So that's the whole intent here, and I'll just go through this rather quickly. As I said, the first part is really kind of what I could present broader to our community, if they would like in a presentation or not. Some other communities have found it useful. So the first part is, what are the primary costs of garbage? And there's really 3 primary costs to garbage. One is a fixed cost, which is the service of going around to everybody's house and picking up whatever garbage they put out once a week. And that's what the city of White Lakes contracts and pays East Wasabi Sanitation to do, just like all the other communities around here. And the cost per residence depends on how big the community is, how spread out it is, how much trucks, how much labor we have to put into it, whatever. There are 2 other parts to the cost of garbage or refuse though, that are, one is variable, which is the amount of weight of garbage that someone throws away. We take that to the county, and the county charges a flat rate per pound to have that disposed. And that is basically variable depending on how much garbage is thrown away. And the last part is a fixed cost, which many people don't understand, which is once again, a cost that the county charges the city for every residence or home in it of $85 a year. Those last two charges, the variable cost for weight and the per residence, $85, those aren't controlled by Hoyt Lakes at all. It doesn't matter which city you live in, you're gonna get that fee from the county. So there's really no control over that. So those are kind of the three primary costs. There's two optional things though, that typically towns or cities have to cover with regard to their cost of garbage. For example, in Hoyt Lakes, we do city cleanups and that has to be funded from something. And just a note here with regard to Hoyt Lakes and city cleanups. I've been doing this for about 4 years now. In October of 2020, so whatever year that was, I participated in my first cleanup. We removed 37,000 pounds of garbage with 23 hours of labor. Okay? Last June, 6th of 23, we removed 82,000 pounds of garbage with 51 hours of labor. So as you can see, there's a huge increase in the service the city is providing to our citizens, as well as the costs that go with that to support those kind of city cleanups. Another thing the city of Hoyt Lakes provides, which is different, I think, than many of the other communities, is we actually have a staffed recycling center and some business pickup service, which is a different cost, once again, than other cities, but does have to be borne by the overall, city essentially. So that's a little bit about just generally the cost of garbage through the range. The next thing I want to talk about is residential service models on the range. So the cities surrounding us in Hoyt Lakes have a model where customers pay a monthly fee for the service, and then they pay an additional bag fee depending on the garbage. And people are often concerned about that for various reasons. The whole concept is, however, that if you are a person that puts out a bag every other week, that's what you pay for, versus somebody who puts out 6 bags in a week, they pay a bit more. That's why the bags have a fee to them. And that's just the model we have. It's really the less garbage you have, the less you pay, and it's really the lowest overall cost. There is another model that I think, like, for example, Ely uses, which is a defined provider. So the residents get a lugger, if you will, kind of a big plastic container that they can fill. There's a couple different sizes usually. The reason that tends to be more expensive is because when that service comes by and picks that lugger up, they have to assume that every week they pick it up, it's full of weight and therefore charge appropriately for that. So that's a little bit different model. And the last model is a self-service where a resident can take the garbage to the dump themselves. And the dumps right now are charging $2 a bag if you do bags, or if you have a trailer and want to bring a trailer in and you're willing to invest all the fuel, et cetera, you can do that as well. So at any rate, that's just some different information. As I said, sometimes I get them giving presentations at community meetings so that they can understand those things, make it clear. I'm happy to do that if it makes sense. Now I'm going to switch a little bit to Hoyt Lakes, specific to the contract that we operate under now. So I guess I'm on page 6 if you're following along. Any rate, current rate in Hoyt Lakes is $9.86 per month per residence. We do have a 5-year contract that increases 3% every August. Just as a note, Hoyt Lakes service cost is lower than any of the surrounding communities by about 2.4%. And our contract expires on the 31st of July. I did break down the relative charges in a kind of a pie chart so you can see on average for 2023, if you divide up the monthly costs, it doesn't mean they come in every month like that. For example, the citywide cleanup hits at 1 month, but it's just kind of a breakdown for you to see. Going to the next page is just a summary of tipping. And so what that means is the amount of weight that Hoyt Lakes pays to get rid of every month. And I've got it going back to 2021 here. And what you see is there's some definite seasonality. On the left axis is the actual pounds of garbage tipped. On the right axis is the dollars that are charged to Hoyt Lakes. So it depends whether you want to care about dollars or pounds. It all goes the same way. And what you basically see is that, we have a lot more garbage typically in June, July, and August. We have campgrounds open, more things going on. And it lowers out typically in the January, December, February thing. We have seen a little uptick in 2023. Not exactly certain why, but just so you have it for your reference. The next page is a little bit more about the split of that tipping charge between residential and business. In general, the residential tipping, which means the amount of garbage that our residents contribute to White Lakes versus our businesses, it's about 1/3 business, 2/3 residential tipping, that last chart, in case you care about that. So 35% of tipping wage charges are for business. And, you know, and I can talk more about any of these things. I don't really want to bore people. I just want to let you know, here's what it is. And I guess the last point of this is, you know, we of course would like to see our contract with White Lakes renewed. We try to be a good member of this community, both by hiring people in our community, by keeping our business located in this community, as well as providing services for certain things such as Water Carnival. We try to do some charitable events in all of our charitable or, you know, free service in a number of our communities. But we also realize that, you know, there's a significant amount of cost pressure, and, you know, everything is expensive. So we've been thinking about ways that we could potentially help out to save money and some ideas. The first idea that we have around is the costs associated with bags. I know that our citizens don't like having the bags for lots of reasons. Additionally, I understand that they're pretty expensive and that the vendor who provides the bags they raise the price willy-nilly and do all these things, which would make it hard to budget. One of the things that my team and I came up with was the idea of utilizing one-time stickers on residents' bags. So for example, a 2-inch sticker like this that had a perforation in it that you couldn't remove it essentially, besides it being placed on a bag, would be a fine thing. We could have different sizes or whatever. So essentially, residents would use their own bags of certain sizes, you know, and for a big bag, they would put a sticker on like this, and another size bag would be a sticker like this. So that when we came to pick up the garbage, we would just need to see a sticker on that bag, and it would go in the back of the truck right now. So that would eliminate for the citizens the complaint around multiple bags. I think it would also be very cost-effective. Stickers that I've looked at are about 3 cents each, and they could be sold in, you know, packs of stickers as opposed to packaged plastic bags. Now, I'm stating this, and as a business person, I'll tell you, there's a whole bunch of the equation I don't know. If we have 10-year supply of yellow bags sitting around, then we got to use that up, you know. But this is more thinking long-term. There might be some options to help that could be cost-effective, and as a business perspective, they need a little bit more study, but it's an idea we came up with. A more concrete way that we think we can help out is if we did renew our contract for 5 years, just like the last contract and the one that I have with all the other citizens or other surrounding cities, we would do a couple things. One, we could discount the current rates, which means that we would reduce our current rates that we are charging White Lakes today. We would also waive the annual increase in year 1, so we wouldn't give you a 3% increase as we would typically every August 1st. And then I think the final thing that we would be able to do would be able to reduce the annual increase from 3%, which is what White Lakes has experienced in the previous contract, to 2.5% annually. So I think those are some things to consider. And I guess from my perspective, what I'm interested in from the city council is kind of understanding what you can use, whatever process, you can do it on whatever timeline you want. But if I had any awareness, would potentially help me in terms of some equipment I'm thinking about purchasing or not purchasing. So there we go. That's basically it. I'm happy to take any questions if anybody has any questions or comments.
For the contract
Mhm.
increase, it's normally 3%, is that what other communities are?
Some are at 3%, some are 2.5%, some are at 2%. But what I
Based on what they negotiate with you?
Yeah, it's, you know, it's the historic 5-year contracts. I only had one city that was on a 1-year contract, and they converted to a 5-year contract 2 years ago. So now they're all 5 years, and it depends. I look at it and I try to be a good partner. I think 2.5% is more reasonable than 3% in our current environment. You know, that's just me, and I'd like to keep it all the same, so we don't have. But there we go.
Jamie, do you have, or do you hear the complaints that we as a city council hear about the bags in other communities?
Yeah, so I would say, it's an interesting, so what I think you're referencing is that people are unhappy because the bags are break or flimsy or whatever, they just make comments like that, and they're expensive, as we all know, because they're not just paying for the bag, they're paying for the cost of tipping it and everything else. But, so we do hear that, but we have a real interesting perspective on this, because we actually pick these bags up, we pick up more bags than anybody else that you might imagine. And there is differences in the quality of bags. Hoyt Lakes' bags are not the worst bags at all. I mean, and, you know, sometimes I think it has to do with the run that a team, because we can go through a community, you can have an orange bag, for example, we're talking war here. I can have some that are dark and I can have some that are light. I don't know if people stockpile these things or not, but they're very different quality bags. I don't think Hoyt Lakes' bags are any less quality. In fact, I would put them higher than most bags. But that's, you know, what happens is, you know, if somebody puts kitty litter in one of these, as you might imagine, kitty litter is very expensive, and they put a sharp piece of plexiglass in it, you know, you lift that bag, it's going to tear. It's just the way it is.
I guess the other thing that I hear mostly is, you know, all the residents are getting charged for a service already. And then they get charged on top of it for the bags. But I think you explained it very well. If Karen, for example, is putting one bag out a week, and her next door neighbor is putting out 5 bags per week, there should be a difference.
I believe the model is really good, because we watch and we see what people in our communities do as well as other communities. And to your point, we have people that put garbage out every other week. They might put a small bag out every other week because they're recycling a lot or they're doing whatever. That's a service we have in this community. Whereas when I look at other communities that have the carts, you know, you're charging for that cart full. And the problem that you have with that is, you know, how you pick what size cart you want. If you have a small amount of garbage every week, that's great. But then you have a party, or then you have this. Our system allows us to accommodate that. I think there might be some things we can do with the stickers that would improve. I don't think people would like it if we decided to give them carts and charge them, if, you know, that amount of weight of garbage every week. I think they would be very unhappy with that. So I think this is a pretty decent system, personally.
We did go to a cart system. Have you ran any kind of numbers on that? Perhaps you need less employees because the truck is able to pick it up with one
Okay.
operator instead of.
No, that's a great question. So, so when we think about carts and business, first off, each one of my garbage trucks is between $225,000 and $250,000. So I bought a new truck, I don't know, a couple of years ago. So to really utilize carts, I would have to buy one more truck at $250,000. And frankly, the way I run my business, I like good equipment that's clean and doesn't cause problems. And so I would probably feel better if I had 2 trucks, because what happens on that day when one doesn't work, okay? And that's the one thing about garbage that is really true. You know, it's a fun job. I enjoy doing it. My team likes enjoying it, but you gotta do it every day. So you gotta have the people and the equipment every single day. That's the trick to garbage. So you gotta have some redundancy. So there's a huge truck cost. I also looked at, and I think I've shared with some people, the cost of what the carts would be, okay? You're looking at somewhere around, now you can get cheap stuff, whatever you want, but you know, people would be unhappy if you had a cart that fell apart. They're about $100, and that's if you buy, you know, 900 of them. They're about $100 a cart. I mean, some are bigger, some are smaller, but in general, the quotes I've got. So that's a pretty big chunk of change there. We could operate with it though. I mean, we don't even necessarily need to buy a new truck, to be honest with you, because if people put their stuff in a bag, you know, that's okay. We lift them out of people's containers all the time right now. And I just don't think honestly, and I probably shouldn't have gone off on the truck thing, but I've given a lot of thought to this because, you know, it's an option. I don't think a truck's gonna pay back here. You know, I think it'd be better for my team and I to lift bags out of these things than it would be to have a $250,000 truck that somebody's gotta pay for somehow, you know?
You're just gonna pass it on to the consumer.
Well, it's gotta come from somewhere,
Right.
you know?
You're a businessman.
Yeah,
Have you seen other communities go to the sticker model at all yet?
no, I'm proposing it left, right, and center. So Gilbert came to me, a while back, 2 or 3 months ago, they're losing $40,000 a month, a year, excuse me, on their commercial business, so they want us to take over and do their commercial business for them, or somebody, they got it out to bid, so, whatever. But, and so, you know, like everybody, they wanna figure out how they can go from losing $40,000 a year to doing better. And we're gonna help them on the commercial side. I think we can without any question at all. I don't think they, Eric, that's neither here nor there. But I did propose the stickers. Their problem is, of course, they just ordered 2 years worth of bags, so, you know, we'll see. I don't see many downsides to the sticker model, except I haven't worked through the aspects of, you know, okay, how do you get it? And how do you get into your retail establishments to sell it? I think it wouldn't be much different.
I don't see a problem there. My concern would be somebody putting a small bag sticker on a large bag, and then what happens to it? Do you leave it there, or do you?
Oh, yes, I mean, I was just gonna give you a little, I used to live in a community just outside of the Twin Cities, and we had the canisters, but then if your canister was full, you could buy the extra stickers for overflow garbage. So I'm familiar with the whole sticker process, and they sold them at, convenience stores and grocery stores, just as we would buy the bags, the store would carry the sticker. And it was just a thing that you wrap around and stick around the neck of the garbage bag that you're adding it to. But I understand what you're saying about, you know, what the different, I mean, in that situation, it was just one sticker. There was no different size option.
So Stuart, I understand your question, makes a lot of sense, but let's just talk about how it works today. So today, in our city, we have 2 sizes of bags, maybe you have 3, doesn't matter, usually the big one, right? So sometimes I come up to a house and they've got a big one that they've tied shut. Sometimes you come up to a house and they've got it in the can, they haven't really shut, they just keep shoving stuff in it, great, so we gotta undo it and get it out of the can. Sometimes you come up to a yellow bag, and it's got 5 or 6 small white bags in it. The last one is almost always kind of hanging out over the edge. Okay, or sometimes it's on the ground, so you don't know whether that one white bag was in it or not. So we deal with this kind of ambiguity almost every day. Okay, in fact, every day we do it. And I think generally, you know, you just look at it and say common sense, and if what I would say, and hopefully it's okay, you know, if this is a one-time thing, that's one thing, but if every week somebody's doing something, you say, well, okay, we have to have a discussion with them, and either we call the city to talk to them, depending on some of our other cities, you know, call them and say, hey, this isn't making sense, what they're doing is not right. But so we deal with that kind of ambiguity all the time. I think it would be pretty easy to me. I think you'd have a bigger sticker and a smaller sticker, or you'd have them different colors, and it would be just, that's what you do. But I don't know. I mean, I don't, Kenny, do you think the sticker thing has any merit? You think it's a pain in the neck?
Well, I mean, it would, like you said, it would solve the problem. People are complaining about quality of eggs, but say, I don't necessarily see it, but I mean, I can understand. People don't like having to buy the hefty bag and put it inside a Wood Legs bag, it's kind of redundant.
Yeah.
You know, the sticker would solve that. I mean, although I think, you know, the fact that they're 3 cents a piece would solve the, you know, the city would still have to charge a different price for them, correct, to offset the tipping fee that. So yellow bags.
Oh, no, there's, no, hey, you need to have a tipping fee, there's no question about it, because.
But if there's a better profit margin for the city to make up that money for tipping fee, you know, versus right now, you're right, the cost of bags, you know, it's a moving target. 1 year, we spend 10,000 on bags, the very next year we spend 18, how do you budget for that? You know, so whereas stickers might be more a uniform price that we can gauge, charge accordingly to, and then regulate it closely.
I guess my concern is what Stuart had said, how do you, as a contractor coming in, you know, look at every bag, making sure that if we have different sized bags, how much more is that gonna be an issue for you? And then what happens if I put a sticker on, a small sticker on a big bag, do you then leave it there? Because it's the wrong sticker? And you shouldn't be picking it up because,
I think, I
you know what I mean?
yeah, I don't know, I think the way it would work is the following, if it's one bag and they put the wrong sticker on it one time, it's probably gonna go in our truck, it's probably gonna go. Okay, if this person, whoever they are, has got a gazillion bags that they've mislabeled, and this is the second week, or the third week, or the fourth week, or this is what they just do, it's not gonna go anywhere, and we, call and tell the city, and usually we don't even call the city for something like that. I just wait for somebody from the city to call me and say, hey, they say you didn't pick up the garbage on XYZ street, and we get that call, we get calls from cities many times that, hey, the garbage wasn't, you didn't get their garbage. Often it's because they say we missed it. Well, we know we went through there and we just go back and pick it up and it's no big deal, okay? But when it's for something like this where it wasn't actually packaged, we just tell them, hey, they gotta put the right packaging. Nothing's perfect, but I think it could work. But I don't know the way I would look at this is I'd figure out what it's gonna save the citizens of the city and figure out whether it's worth a try or not. That's what I would figure out. I don't really know the full business picture. I'd figure out, if it's gonna sit, I don't know what our current bags cost, frankly, and all the stuff to get it through. But if that was a significant amount, then I would say, hey, it's worth a try.
And my question that I hear residents ask a lot is, I don't use the garbage service. I don't put my garbage out. Why do I have to pay the bill? But you contract per household in White Lakes. You don't make note of, on Hampshire, we have 4 that don't pick up, and we're not gonna charge them. You just contract per household, whether it's lived in, utilize your service or.
Yeah, and if you think about that, it makes some sense. What we get paid to do from the city is go around to every residence every week and pick up their garbage. And so in the idea that we would actually be taking the time, let's just say hypothetically that we mark down who we picked up from or not. I still have to do the whole city. I still have to cover every street with a truck and gas and people, right? And so it doesn't really work. And of course, there's some houses that are way out there on 660 or something that, it's not as good a deal as someone who's right next to it, but that's how you set a group aggregate rate. Frankly, that's why White Lakes is the lowest price of any of them, because we're right here. I don't have to drive 15 miles to get to or whatever. And our residents are decently compact.
I think you brought up a couple good points. I think, as far as the county, certain things that are out of our control, obviously, tipping fees and what the county charges per household, and we
People
don't
don't
have a
understand,
choice.
it's a substantial charge.
Right.
$85 a year has gotta come from somewhere. I think the other thing, citizens don't generally understand the concept behind why bags are charged for. It's not just the cost of the bag or whatever. I think the second thing that even I'm learning, thank you, Kenny Beck, is that, the cost that you charge your citizens and businesses isn't just to cover my costs. It's to cover the cleanup days, it's to cover the recycling center, it's to cover all of the refuse related services for our community. And that's not insignificant.
All right, anybody else have any questions for me?
I thought this was really informative.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm happy to come back and do it for citizens live or whatever, or maybe this will be me. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, 11.2 is, request for proposals for sanitation services.
So I know that some members of the council have expressed to me that they would like to do RFPs, request for proposals for the new service contract, as Jamie mentioned, the contract with East Mesabi Sanitation ends on July 31st of this year. But I also wanted to note that the city is not required to go out for RFPs for this service. You can choose to renew that contract without going out for RFPs. So it would be up to the council if you want to either have myself negotiate with Jamie for the next contract, or if you prefer to go out for RFPs.
What is the council's pleasure?
I prefer to go local, and I think we're getting a great deal from Jamie because he cares about our community. However, there's a lot of citizens that keep saying, let's see what else is out there. I don't think it would hurt to just find out what they say. Just so we have the information on hand, but I do prefer to stay local, but I don't think it would hurt to find out what other people charge.
Can I speak again?
Yes.
So, I would encourage an RFP, frankly, from all the, because we're pretty transparent, we're a member of the community, and I can tell you from the other cities that I'm with, you know, I'm happy to put a contract in. And, you know, you are not obligated to take the lowest bid, you're not obligated to put an RFP out, as Becky said, but doesn't hurt. Then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, somebody want to make a motion to, go up RFPs for sanitation services?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilor Graham, is there support?
I'll support.
Supported by Councilor Beauregard. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11.3 is spring cleanup date, our cleanup rules. Yes, please.
So in 2023, the city went over the allotted budget of $5,000 for spring cleanup. There were quite a few items which did not fit the spirit of spring cleanup, including construction waste, an entire fish house, et cetera, that went out to the curb. And so Kenny and I met with Jamie to discuss some ways to limit that spring cleanup and make it better for everyone. And the one thing that we came up with that would probably be the best is to limit the garbage pickup day, which is the Wednesday of spring cleanup, the only items placed in garbage bags. So they have to be either contractor size bags, household size bags, that kind of thing. And the bags must be tied shut. If they are not tied shut, or if the items are not in garbage bags, they will not be picked up. I think it's kind of unfair to expect Jamie's truck to crush a whole couch. So I think that would probably be the best way to move forward with spring cleanup.
I don't even know if I could tell you how many hundreds of couches we crush. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Amazing.
even after Jamie.
Yeah, and you got,
They went above and beyond because they did Wednesdays, they were supposed to, they also came back and did Thursday and part of the day Friday. And then we started getting the phone calls on Monday about you missed this and you missed that, and we filled 3 more dump trucks the following week. We've gotten out of control.
Yeah, and when they say you missed it, that they didn't have it out there, maybe top day after.
so one thing that maybe we should publicize, and I'm sorry, I don't do a ton of advertising, is 2 things. One, citizens can get temporary dumpsters from us. So anytime they want, we can deliver a dumpster to their home for up to 3 weeks typically. We're usually about half the cost of a roll-off, i.e. they fill the dumpster, we come pick it up and empty it, leave it there or take it away. So that's one thing that can happen. Additionally, for citizens that do have stuff that are like fish houses, or I don't know, whatever else they might have, even appliances, you know, they can contact us and we will help. We've done it, even last month, we helped some citizen take stuff from their garage. We can load stuff into the back of our garbage truck. We do that often with Jordan for light stuff. We can load stuff in a dump trailer, you know, so there are services to help people get rid of light things that are non-bags and stuff like that.
And then you just negotiate with that person individually. or?
Yeah, negotiates is strong, but not even that, we try to be pretty open to us, I'm happy to do the RFP, I mean, we're just trying to provide the right value, we have set prices. You know, it's not even a negotiation, it's like you want a 2-yard dumpster, it's this much delivered, this much to move it, and it's the weight you pay for. You know, if somebody wants us, and we will do this, and we've done this, where someone comes and says, hey, just pull your truck up here and load stuff in, we're going by, and then, you know, we tell them they gotta pay for the weight and they gotta pay for the labor. That's a little negotiation, ever, but it's not, it's pretty set prices, it's not.
Well, it's good information, Jamie, because I'm sure a lot of people aren't aware. that You provide that service or will provide that service.
And we can also definitely include that information on the spring cleanup notice, that, you know, if you have large items or estates, that kind of stuff to contact East Wisconsin Sanitation.
It looks like a lot of the bigger type stuff is picked up on ten, like Watchers ten.
Correct.
And this makes it more sustainable with kind of pricing and things like that, that kind of year over year, people make tons of stuff out there that kind of falls on the city, and then making us have to ask. them.
Because I think we're providing a good service for the public. Obviously, you know, if it gets way out of hand, we're not gonna be able to continue doing it, but just the amount of stuff that you see on the curb every year when we do this spring cleanup, since I've been on, it's amazing. And I'm sure Jordan's job, a lot of the stuff that he's seeing or gonna be writing up with Blake ends up on the curb.
Sure.
So,
I think that's part of the whole deal here is just the communication of citizens. Their garbage bag fees, their monthly fee is paying also for that city cleanup, you know? It's important to think about.
we need a motion.
I want to bring up one more thing on this, since we're already looking at changing it. Is Saturday the best day? It's been like 2 years that I've been involved, and there's been less than 4 people show up every year.
That's what it's traditionally been. It's not organized by the city. So the only thing the city does is provide them with garbage bags.
It used to be the Lions Club that hosted it, years ago, I don't know when it switched to Saturdays, years ago it was on weeknights. And then people said that weeknights didn't work, so we did try weekends. I just think we're not getting volunteers because they don't wanna do it regardless of the day of the week.
And I know the Lions is not an organization anymore, so there is really no sponsor for this, right? It is the city now that sponsors it,
More or less.
because there is no Lions Club to do it. I know the chamber used to help sponsor it by providing the pizzas and the gloves and the beverages for the afterwards. They used to donate for that, but
Excuse me, can you repeat, what are we talking?
So we do, the Saturday before spring cleanup or the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, we do a community cleanup where the city provides bags, they meet up at the community building, and people go around to the parks and the roadways and that kind of stuff.
More or less trash. Yes.
then they can leave the bags along the side.
Just like clean up the road.
Yeah.
All the public areas, the baseball fields, the beach, the.
Yeah.
Public right around Monday morning, it's a whole big stuff for.
Years ago, I was a Cub Scout leader and we had Cub Scouts. That was one of our things that we did every year as groups.
Makes sense. Service project.
Would they consider middle of the week? Sometimes I think you might get more volunteers.
I believe back when I was doing it, it wasn't in the middle of the week.
Yeah,
It was in the evening.
It
but-
wasn't.
Yeah, we did, I think we did Tuesdays and, I mean, you know, a lot of people are gone the weekend, you know, I think you might.
And I think the Lions Club at that time was a sponsor and then we met up at the community building afterwards.
Right.
Yes, it's Memorial Weekend as well.
Yeah.
So people.
I think if we did it on a Wednesday, which would probably get some school groups, because a lot of students, not a lot, there's a group of students at school who need volunteer hours, and they work with the Youth in Action Group or the Leo SAD group, which it was an organization of the Lions, but she still does a Leo SAD group at the school, and they need volunteer hours. And Wednesday, there's no sports, for high school, so if we did it on a Wednesday, I think maybe we could try to communicate more with, you know, the chamber and the school, and see if we can't get some better turnout for volunteers.
So like Wednesday, June 5th, which is the week before spring cleanup.
I'm guessing school's not in session then, or pretty close. And school is-
They're not, that,
So it'd be better to do it earlier?
I mean, maybe. if we did the spring cleanup a little earlier, so we. still
Mid-May?
Get the
The,
students.
the spring cleanup itself, the part that the city does, has to take place that week. Because that's the week the summer students start, so they help.
Oh,
But the community cleanup, volunteer cleanup can take place then.
yeah, I think if we did that earlier in
Yeah, we generally did,
May,
the community cleanup day prior to curb cleanup, because then anything that was drug out of the woods, for instance. You know, not just bags of garbage, but stuff that would be picked up, like appliances, et cetera, would be handled then at the same time as for cleanup. So they kind of went hand in hand.
What if we did it May 22nd then?
Wednesday before.
I mean, honestly, I think that's a scholarship banquet night of school.
That's for all of graduation.
I know, it is really late May, I mean. I think you have to do it earlier in May if you
So
want,
like the
to
15th.
get groups, I think you'd have to do it. Yeah, early, so it won't coincide with citywide, but at least you might get volunteers to do
If
it.
it didn't coincide, I mean, we pick up the stuff regardless, whether
Yeah.
it coincided with curb cleanup.
So why don't I talk to Kenny and we will choose May 1st, 8th, or 15th, and then I'll take the advertisement.
And if you want, I can look at the school calendar, because I do the building usage, and I can see what days we have in like graduation, rehearsal, and, the scholarship banquet, so we know.
And then
when
get our rain dates, because it always gets rained out.
It's gonna rain every time, right?
You do it.
Invariably.
Always.
Snow.
Okay, so does somebody want to make a motion with that correction, as far as the community cleanup? Everybody fine with the other dates? Make a motion?
I'll make a motion to look at scheduling the dates, presented, except for looking at a different date in earlier in May, on Wednesday for the community cleanup.
All right, motion been made by Councilor Kramer, is there support?
I'll support.
Supported by Councilor Grant, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Looking for update to credit card policy.
So, the recreation director has requested a credit card, and so his name has been added to the list. And in addition, we've gotten some fleet cards, and so that information has also been added to the credit card policy.
And those are for the ambulances.
Correct.
Do each one of these people have a credit card, or you just have a couple that you hand out to the individual?
Everyone on the list except for the recreation director has a city credit card that says City of White Lakes with their name on it. So, they're expected to use it, so like Kenny can't give his credit card to one of the guys or anything, he has to be there to use it.
No fleet vehicles would everyone on the EMS department have to sign this in?
Anyone who would use the card that is left in the ambulance. Yep.
Can you talk about no on it?
We discussed it when the fleet cards were put together, she signed one for all the fleet cards. And so then this would just be an update to include that as part of the fleet policy.
I will same for fire do that. Thank you.
Sorry?
That same with fire side too?
The firefighter cards are controlled by Lucky 7 with the exception of the one before, which is emergency use.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the city of White Lakes credit card updated policy?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Council Borger, is there support?
I'll support.
Supported by Councilor Kramer. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11.6. Recommendation to now waive monetary limits for municipal short line. Municipal, sorry, folks. See that now? Request to waive arena fees for the 2024 Wasabi East Prom Committee.
You waive the arena fees every year for the prom, and so they request it every year, and that is this request. So,
I'll make the motion to waive the fee.
Motion made by Council Borgard, is there support?
I'll support that.
Supported by Councilor Scott. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, back to 11.6, the recommendation for not waive monetary limits for municipal tort liability for League of Minnesota Cities Insurance Trust.
You are required to select either you would like to waive tort liability limits, or you would not like to waive tort liability limits for the League of Minnesota Cities Trust every year. We have never waived them, so we always do not waive tort liability.
And then this gets sent into the league.
Correct.
Is there a motion to not waive the tort liability limits?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilor Graham, is there support? I'll support that. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11.7, application is conducted excluded bingo.
It's for the VF auxiliary post, and so they request a couple times a year, and this is just one of the requests.
And these are the following dates: 14th of March, or 17th of March, 19th of May, 22nd of September, and the 17th of November. A motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilor Scott, is there support?
Support.
Supported by Councilor Crane. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, 11.8 is tobacco license application for Family Dollar Stores Incorporated.
The background check on this came back clear, and so we should be good to go.
Is there a motion to approve the tobacco license application? Family Dollar Stores.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Councilor Graham, is there support? I'll support that. Any further discussion?
Is there an updated one with the management being done?
Yes, they submitted the background check with the name on it, and so they, we have the background check.
Anybody else have anything? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11.9 is pay request number 3 from Muncie Enterprises in the amount of $17,860 for the Midway Shelter Project.
This is not the final pay application, so they will have additional pay apps into you prior to closing the project. This is just a midpoint fund.
I was just looking to see, sometimes they have percentage of work. I was trying to see if they had that on this one.
They do not.
Okay. It appears to be getting closer, but I just wondered how much further.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
Make that motion.
Motion made by Councilor Kramer, is there support?
Support.
Supported by Councilor Graham. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Jackie, you want to explain this one?
The next item on the agenda is the request to adopt the MNCDP RAW 457 program. And so it's a benefit offered through MSRS, the Minnesota Retirement System. Essentially, employees can have a deduction from their paycheck, go into this RAP account to save towards retirement. It does not cost the city anything. MSRS does not charge the city anything additional. It's just an additional benefit we can offer employees. That does need to be adopted by the council via, a motion, and then it can get set up for the employees as of March first.
I would make a motion to,
Motion made by Council Borger, is there support?
Or,
Supported by Council Kramer. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11:11, this is, Fisherman City, Clay Lakes Fisherman Point Campground Manager Contract for 2024 season.
so the changes to this, there is no change in payment, the same fee as last year. The assistants did request a different campsite, they did not want to be on a dirt loop, and so I got a list of campsites, and we negotiated for the least popular campsite that, of the list they wanted. And so, last year, site 93 was $815, and then this year, the site that they're requesting is going to be $1,000, so it's a little bit more expensive for the assistant, managers, they were okay with that. And so that is primarily the only change, besides the fact that we are also requesting that Jen O'Brien staff the office, the 3 days for monthly seasonals, monthly campers, which is the first or last Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of March, and then also is in the office April 1st, which is the day the campground reservation system opens. So that's a little bit of a different, usually it would go April 1st to the end of September. Jen did say she's totally okay with working those couple days in March to help get us through that, so.
Right, is there a motion to approve? Motion made by Council Borger, is there support?
I'll support that.
Supported by Councilor Scott. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 11:12 is a request to transfer liquor license by J-Way LLC, the Haven to the Hoy Lakes Arena on 3/8/2024 to 3/9/2024. And this is for the Ben's no check hockey tournament that weekend. Is there a motion to approve?
That motion.
Motion made by Councilor Borger, is there support?
I'll support.
Supported by Councilor Kramer. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And, 11:13, ordinance number XXX, repealing chapter 32 of the White Lakes City Ordinance.
So at the first reading of the year, the ordinance was brought forward to the council. It was tabled to this meeting, February 12th, and I haven't heard anything from the department, one way or another. So it's being presented to you again.
Dave, did you bring up what we talked about our business meeting?
Well, at the business meeting and at the captain's meeting, Tony was gonna get in contact with Becky to discuss what could or could not be done. I believe I told you guys at the captain's meeting that wouldn't make tonight's agenda because it was, Wednesday was already that night. So, somebody needs to get in contact with Becky, or we can table this, or we can vote to just do away with it altogether and start anew.
In chatting with Tony, we sounded like he'd be on board with repealing it, and then it would be kind of taking a lot of the things from that and putting it into their SOGs, so that it's just on like a document that ongoing. I think that was their kind of main concern, which is kind of things.
We talked about it.
Yeah.
Changing over time, they just want to have a lot of this information in a place where it kind of stays the same over a lot. Not worries of it changing, weekly or monthly or yearly, just something with it. Any reference moving forward?
So it doesn't sound like there's any major concerns with repealing this, if they haven't brought forth any major concerns yet, or?
I don't think so. I think it was just a matter of conversation, what they could write in through their SOGs and what.
It was more of a, is it okay to tie it in with their SOGs, or we gotta update the ordinance that's there, or what? We want your opinion on, is that okay if we do that, that's what it is.
Well, so SOGs are standard operating guidance. Is that what SOG stands for? So like in the police world, it's key procedures?
Yeah.
Okay, it would really depend, and so all policies set forth by the city, or set forth need to be approved by the city council. And so if it's a way of operating, like this is how we're going to do things, that needs to be approved by the city council. If the SOGs are presented all at one time, that kind of thing, get on the agenda, get all approved at once, totally fine. Then anytime there's a change or anything needs to be corrected, it would just come back to the city council. That's totally acceptable. Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right, is there a motion to repeal ordinance, chapter 32, highlights?
Some of this chapter 32 defines some of the roles that are allocated.
Yeah, the biggest thing is a lot of this is way outdated. I mean, some of this was passed in 1956. You look in there was two, assistant chiefs, I believe.
Yeah.
And there's no longer two. So I mean, a lot of it's just a matter of cleaning it up. And, because it's outdated and it doesn't make sense, but.
And if that's a consensus, I will post it prior to the next meeting and then you can repeal it at the next meeting. It doesn't need to get posted for 10 days. So, if everyone's okay with that, I'll just post it on the board and put that.
I guess with repealing this, I wouldn't mind seeing something in the new definition of roles that they at least get to go through a meeting of whatever, if it's just only.
Well, no, I think they wanted to set up a committee of some of the members and look at what's in there now and what needs to be in there and give that information. Bring that forward to the council.
But as far as changing our definitions of like the chief's health,
Those are all set forth by job descriptions.
and when those get changed, they're supposed to be council only?
Yep, yep.
Do they also go through the fire health for their comments?
Typically, the fire department's the ones who present those changes to us. So, you know what I mean, like when we did the revamp of job descriptions, we did the entire city job descriptions well, and I met and forwarded those job descriptions to each department head to review prior to making any of those changes, but there's never a time that I would do that without talking to the fire department.
Yeah, I only see one of these that's even remote, 1969 is the latest, everything else is from 1956, so if we already have. Job descriptions and duties established, and then the fire department comes up with their own operating guidelines that we approve at another meeting that they present to us, I'm fine with that, I would motion to post this at least.
You don't have to take, okay.
We'll decide at the next meeting.
All right, is there anything else? Next council meeting will be, Monday, February 26th. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that happen.
Motion made by Council Kramer, is there support? Supported by Council Graham. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.